Hey!
What's going on, everybody? What's going
What's
on?
up? What's up? You already know Michael Lewis here again. I'm with Naya. Naya
Hello.
Drummond is with us again. You maybe heard from 2 podcasts ago. Had a very good podcast.
We did.
And it was good. That was a really good one. And today we're doing another good news podcast. Just going through some really key topics. A lot has happened in the past, really week to 2 weeks. And we need to cover it. We got to get into these news topics so that way everyone's informed. And I just want to talk about some stuff too. So, I mean, how are you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I definitely am.
Cool.
Don't mind me. I only had an apple today so far, between apple and water.
Halfway through mine.
What? I had a great. Yours is what's that? Is that a gala?
I just buy them.
You buy them?
I don't know what they are.
I had Granny Smith.
That's the
One of the green ones.
green one. Yeah.
So that's all I've had so far.
Tangy.
I'm not a sweets girl, so that's why I prefer a little more on the tangy
Make
side.
them off like this.
Shut up. Okay, so clearly we both need to do better in terms of our nutritional choices regarding breakfast. However, I'll definitely say I do a hell of a lot better during the week, but on the weekends that's still something different. Waking up later, so.
During the week, I don't even eat breakfast.
You don't?
I break my fast at lunch.
I'm a breakfast girl, so like I make sure I have at least 2 eggs.
Some protein.
Yeah, so at least 2 eggs, maybe like honey bunches of oats for cereal, a green apple, or if I don't have cereal, then I'll have like yogurt with some granola and an apple, and I'm always drinking a gallon a day.
How long does it take you to eat that food in the morning?
In the morning, no more than and 2 slices of bacon. Sorry. In the morning, it probably don't take me any more than like 25 minutes to eat it. But like I've always been a breakfast girl, so that's always just been something that I make time for.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You'll wake up earlier just so you can have a good breakfast.
Yes.
It really will help you.
I have to. But yeah, weekends is something different. It's not the same for me.
Yeah, it's hard. You got to get up and prepare and make this and make that. You need someone to help you.
If I'm sleeping in, then 9 times out of 10, like my eating schedule is going to be shifted. So because I woke up later and then I was coming here from PG County, then it was just like, okay, well, we just need to grab what you can and go. So.
Yeah. You're an engineer, so you're working. You're putting in hours, and you're training in the gym after work, and you're teaching classes as well. How's all that going? That's a lot to juggle.
It is a lot to juggle, but I mean, like I keep myself on a schedule. I keep myself on a regimen. So, like he said, after work, for the most part, I'm always physically active. So on Mondays after work, I go to a dance class. On Tuesdays after work, I'm in the gym. On Wednesdays after work, I teach a dance class. On Thursdays, I'm back in the gym, and then Friday through the weekend, I work out on either Saturday and or Sunday, but then I'm also focused on my shea butter business as well. So I'm always literally like physically moving, so I have to make sure.
I just used some. My lips were all chappy. She said, "I got some whipped shea butter. I whipped it up last night." I'm like, "Yes, sir." And I bought her brand of shea butter before anyway. I bought like several tubs of them.
Thank you. It's been a while. It's changed a lot. So it's changed a lot since the last time you copped some. So I'll show you like how they look now, like packaging, the labels, all of that. Like it's all a lot different now. So, but yeah. How about you, Sid? You been all right?
I've been all right. Lenderblock, I need all of you supporters to, really, tap in, get on the apps and start using them. We had a couple of people make some credit lines last week. That's always great for me when I see natural flow of people coming and actually creating credit lines. That's beautiful. I love that. And that's what this whole podcast is for. It's one, to connect with you guys and be personable and let you guys see exactly who we are. But we're trying to get people to use our blockchain products, which I'll kind of describe a bit right now. So Lenderblock Corporation is a software development firm. We have 2 main applications. The first one is the Blender platform. The second one is the partner platform. Now, the Blender platform allows you to become a borrower. You can create your own credit line, choosing your own interest rate and minimum monthly payment. You put that credit line out on a platform where other members who are choosing to act as lenders can scroll through them and basically view the different credit lines and deem which ones are worth investing in based on the amount of other lenders like them who are currently lending to your credit line, the amount of available balance for you to withdraw, the frequency of your repayments, these different statistics that help them to ascertain whether or not you're a worthwhile investment. They can lend you funds at the minimum contribution that you set, and they start earning back the interest compounding payments from you. Now, the credit limit is the key piece here that we have been getting great progress in. So the credit limit piece, for years now, the credit limit has been set equal to the amount of collateral placed within the credit line. So this means that you can never withdraw more money than there is collateral to protect against your running away and never paying back your lenders. So those lenders always have their principal investment, the actual amount that they've given you, not the interest included, but the principal that they've given you. They always have that protected in the credit line, right? We recently received funding to allow our members to. It's really that's a big deal. This is the first source of external funding that we've ever received in Lenderblock Corporation history, and we're using these funds for the explicit and sole purpose of increasing.
What was the date? When did it? You remember?
It was. It's funny because it's distributed over 2 different periods, but the first half came like a little bit ago, right? It was in 2023, and it's a big deal. Like it's a really big deal that we got this. And the whole purpose, like I said, the whole purpose is to increase people's credit limits. We're using these funds to put that as collateral for borrowers who apply for a verified registry application. All that's through the app. You can go, and I have tutorials on YouTube as well where you can go in and watch where I've kind of talked about how to do that and everything, both in-person live tutorials and properly edited videos where you can kind of see the whole process. However, go into the Blender Platform app. You're going to download the app first. You're going to create an account. And the first thing you're going to do is go over to the settings tab, which is indicated by several horizontal bars in the upper right tab. You're going to click that. The very top option says Become Blender Verified. There you're going to click the button at the top left. Probably looks like I'm using my right hand. This is my left hand. And so you're going to click on that button. It's going to say Request the Verified Registry Application Form. When you request that form, you're going to get it sent to your official registered Blender email, and then from there you have the form. You're going to fill it out. It's already fillable. You can do it on your phone actually. Save it in your Files app if you have an Apple device. If you have an Android device, you can save it even easier. You'll save it, and then you can attach it as an email and send it right back to either me, if you know me personally, to Kenyon, who is our fund management officer who was on last week, or you can send it to the official portal, which is verifiedregistry@theblenderplatform.io. So I've been reaching out to all the people that I know. Kane's been reaching out to people he knows. Everyone who's in our community has been reaching out to who they know. Hey, this is a program. I'm telling you through YouTube, like this is a program. I want you to use it. I want you to take advantage of the funds. And we plan to get more funds to do the same thing again and again and again. The final goal is for us to not need to put down collateral. We don't want to have to force our borrowers to put down a collateral equal to their credit limit. When we grow a lot more, when we get external funding in the form of equity, or investors actually buying equity in our company, I'm talking large multi-million-dollar investments in our company where we can actually scale a lot more quickly.
Speak it.
That's coming very soon, right?
Speak it, sir.
When we get that external funding, at that moment, my plan is to turn Lenderblock Corporation, at least some sect of it, into an operational brokerage through which we can provide 2 options. We can have a base version of the Blender platform that allows you to use it in its standard form, where you don't need FICO, you don't need to go through any external system. It's all internal to Lenderblock Corporation, and you have to put down your own collateral to borrow against. I also plan on making an extension. We can call it like the Blender Platform Pro. You guys should drop comments what you think that should be called. But in the future, when we get that funding, I want to create a separate version of the Blender Platform that allows you to use your FICO credit score, build your FICO credit by using the app, and that's all going to be done by our becoming a partial brokerage to basically be the facilitator between transactions, or the mediator between transactions between lenders and borrowers, rather than what we're doing right now, which is directly allowing lenders to lend to borrowers via our smart contracts.
Talk your stuff.
It's a very small, it's a very, you could call it like it's a small nuance that won't really be noticed much on your end. We'll still have the same familiar user interface that you're used to already, and the same system, same people. However, this would just allow us to serve more people in more ways. That's the overall scoping expansion that you'll see as we get our true equity funding from our venture capitalist investors. So that's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that as well. But right now, I want you guys to take advantage of what we have available for you right now. Go download the Verified Registry application. Go submit it. I just told you how to do that. But download it within the Becoming Blender Verified portal. And when you fill it out, save it, send it back to an attachment. Verified Registry at theblenderplatform.io. All those directions are listed in that Becoming Blender Verified portal. So just read the directions, follow along, and become Blender Verified. Don't wait. Don't waste time. The second half, the partner platform. You guys, if you are West African, Caribbean, Latino, you probably know what this whole concept is. The partner platform allows you to create what we call a partnership, very similar to the Blender platform, but this is a partnership group in which if you invite 9 people, the 10 of you in total, including you, the manager, will all contribute cyclically to a pool at a fixed value. Let's say we're contributing every month $100, and then each month, one of those members will have a turn to withdraw the sum of that pool. So the first month, if I were the manager who invited all the other 9 people, you can have as many people or as few people as you want, by the way. But if I invite all these 9 people, I'm going to set the amount that we'll contribute every month. I'll set the frequency, which is every month. It could be every 2 weeks or whatever else. I'll set the amount of turns that each member in the pool, in the partnership, will have to withdraw. So will I get to withdraw one time, meaning that we go around 10 months, and by the time 10 months finishes, we're all done, or we're going to do 20 months, 30 months, where we all get 2 or 3 different turns to withdraw. And then the final thing that I'll specify when I'm creating this partnership is the initial entry fee that I want to charge members of the partnership, because there are some administrative responsibilities that you will have as a manager who creates a partnership. You don't have to charge people to enter, but you can. It can be $0 if you want. Once you set up this partnership, people once again will contribute cyclically to the pool. If everyone contributes 900 except for 100, adding up to 900 in the first month, and I'm the withdrawer because I've created the partnership, I get the first turn to withdraw. I get to withdraw 900. Next month is Naya's turn, so I'll contribute $100 next month, and then she'll have the turn to withdraw. She won't have to contribute on her own turn. By the time, once again, 10 months have gone around, we all will have had one turn to withdraw, and we all will have contributed 900. Now, the cool thing about this is that if you have an unforeseen expense come up, let's say I have an unforeseen expense come up on the turn that comes after Nines, right? And I'm like, I need whoever has that turn. Do you think you could swap with me? The manager has explicit privileges to do swaps between members, so I can get a certain person's turn if they agree to it in the group chat that's provided with every partnership. Go watch a demo video for the partner platform. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But if a manager wants to do a swap between 2 members and give one member a turn from another, that's all fine. The whole purpose of the partner platform is to save and collectively save, and it's to cover unforeseen expenses when they come up, because you've been paying into the pool, you've been doing your part. So when you need to do a withdrawal turn, the manager can give you that front, and then you just need to contribute to the pool as you have been, as you are expected to. Continue that, and then by the end of the pool, you will have been net zero with all your fellow partners in the partnership. One other nuance, you're probably wondering, those of you who are really quick on it, you're saying, well, what if someone doesn't contribute? Or if you're just experiential also, some of you have already been a part of this, from being a part of SUSU or partner system, whatever you want to call it, Tanda, Juntas, Cuchubales, Banderos, are all different names for it across the Americas. Those of you who have used this before, you're probably saying, well, what if someone doesn't contribute? This is the way it works here. If I miss a contribution, the next time I get to withdraw, the deduction will be made from my withdrawal value, and that deduction is equal to the amount of money that I owe another person in the partnership or other people in the partnership. It'll automatically be routed to them when I do my withdrawal. So if I forgot to contribute 2 times, when I get my withdrawal turn, instead of 900 being available to me, I only have 700, and the 100 will go to 200 will be split and go to the 2 people that I owe because I missed 2 contributions. The only stipulation here, the Blender platform, as opposed to the partner platform, is completely trustless. You don't need trust to operate in it safely. Your principals are protected with collateral. We don't need to know who you're lending to. You don't need to know who you're lending to. You don't need to even, you're protected, is what I'm saying. The partner platform is different. You need to know who's in your partnership, because if the last round of the partnership comes, there's no protection against someone saying, okay, I got my very last withdrawal turn. There are 3 more rounds left to go through before this whole thing is over, but I'm not going to contribute to those people. There's no stipulation against that. If you don't have another turn coming to withdraw and you become delinquent, basically the only means of protecting the other members in the partnership from a delinquent partner is to deduct from their next withdrawal turn. And if that delinquent partner doesn't have a next withdrawal turn because they've gotten their final withdrawal in the entire life of the partnership, because you're in the last revolution and you're in they've gotten their last turn, then there's no stipulation for that. The partner platform is for people who know one another. You need to know these people. You need to know who the people are who you're lending to, or rather who you're in the partnership with. So there should be churches, church congregations or parent-teacher associations or members in a close-knit group like an SGA, Student Government Association, or a housing covenant, people who live in the same area, the same neighborhood. Congregations of people who can hold each other accountable, already are tightly knit, and simply need a means of conducting these types of social community transactions. That's what the partner platform is for. You have to know who the people are. It's very important. On the platform, you don't need to know who they are. Okay, that's already protected. The collateral is already built into the system. You can lend to a person in Idaho, being here in Baltimore. It does not matter. We will protect you 100% when using the Blended platform to lend and borrow with your peers on the app. Okay, 2 different apps here, and they're growing pretty quickly. We currently have around 2,600 individually owned accounts across the platforms together. Yeah.
Jeez, wait.
I mean, it's not as big a number as I want. Of course, I'm always going to want more, but I'm happy with the fact that we've gotten that because we're independent.
It's a milestone, nonetheless.
Yeah, it's a milestone,
and
I do want to celebrate it. You know.
Mm-hmm. I want to get that down. He's been talking for a minute, y'all.
No, seriously.
For anybody watching, y'all go ahead and just clap it up. My God.
Try to get it all out as quickly as possible, as succinctly as possible, but still get all the big points out there so you can pick up what I'm trying to put down. So, yeah, those are our 2 apps here. We also have our clothing line. You see a rocking a cool shirt. You see me rocking a cool hoodie. Got the pants on as well. So you see I have it on.
Turn to the side.
I'm rocking it.
Y'all see? Hold the leg up real quick.
Y'all see I'm rocking the stuff. It's very clean.
It's fire. It is
very
clean. It is clean.
And the back as well. So it's the same thing that Nia's shirt says. It says it on the back. So.
Oh, that is on the back.
Yeah, it's on the back.
Oh, that's
same thing on the leg, on the back, on the chest. It's the same words.
Yeah. I love that. I love it.
So very cool, very clean fashion. You can find that online at www.lenderblock.io/store. Okay, that's all available online. It'll take you to our Shopify store where you can go on and, support Lenderblock in another way. Go on there, buy this stuff, and you'll see our chief merchandising officer on there as well, Naomi Adrienne, who designed all these clothing items, all the apparel. She sourced the products. Very instrumental in getting this all up. So you'll see her modeling the stuff on there too. So you're just becoming a bit more knowledgeable of who the people are involved in the stuff you see going on at Lenderblock Corporation. It's a big team here, and we're growing all the time. And I'm looking for anyone interested in changing the world, changing the way that people transact peer-to-peer, and also creating an economy that's independent of over-leveraged financial institutions. That's my big driving force there. I don't like to act like I'm anti-bank or whatever. I'm not anti-bank, but you see, when you're in a system where several large overpowered entities have all the power over your money that you're putting in the bank is not even physically there. If every person who had money in any bank you want to name, Bank of America, wanted to make a withdrawal for the 100% of their balance on the same day, that would be impossible. You know that? Your money isn't there. It's not liquid. It's not sitting in the bank. The bank is using that money. It's your money. They're not giving you commissions off of what they've earned from reinvesting that money 5 times over in different vectors. They're not giving you commissions off of that, and it's not there liquid in the bank. The bank doesn't have it. They've lent that money out to other people who want to borrow it, and then they're earning the interest compounding payments rather than other people in the community.
And they're trading it themselves.
They're trading it themselves.
If anything, the banks trade our money.
Yeah, the banks trade our money. You don't get a commission off of that money that you gave them for them to use to trade.
The most that we see from it is what percent of it? Like we see like a monthly interest on it, which is like I think a little bit less than 1%.
Yeah, the savings account. Your savings account, if you're lucky, you'll have like 1% compounding annually.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's high enough to really compensate you properly for the money you've given the bank for them to earn their billions of dollars? No.
Banks are making trillions off of our money.
Your deposit. Yeah, your deposits that you have in your account. It makes it so easy for them to do this now, especially with everything being so digital. You don't. It's just numbers on your Bank of America app, right? So no, that money is not actually sitting there. If you know about a guy named Ponzi, right? Charles Ponzi. That's where the Ponzi scheme came from. He was known for making banks that were doing this profusely. I mean, he'd promise people like huge returns that were completely infeasible. But what he'd do is he'd take Bob's money and use his money to give it to Bill when Bill makes a withdrawal. When Sally wants to make a withdrawal, then he takes Bill's money and gives it to Sally. So there's maybe like 2% of the money that should actually be available. And this is how banks operate, whether it's seen as evil or not. And what we're doing is saying, look, if it all hits the fan, and you need to take your money out, and you can't, what are you gonna do? Are we gonna keep depending on this antiquated system that's been in place since the Roman times, or are we gonna create a new system that's based on globalization, blockchain, using technology for what it's actually built for?
To have real protection.
Real protection, you know, real autonomy over your money. That's
as opposed to something happening again like the Great Depression where nobody could get their money.
Exactly. You get. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing that up.
Because
exactly.
I'm genuinely not sure if we're slowly but surely moving in that direction. But God forbid that we do. You need to have control over your money.
Yeah,
and essentially that was the sole problem of the Great Depression.
Yep.
Was that once I was about to got cursed. But once things hit the fan, people had no access to their money.
Yeah.
So
that's the problem. You need to have that money within your own control. It's called autonomy, financial autonomy. The banks are autonomous over your money. That's your money, and they have control.
And they have control over it.
They have control over it. Additionally, guys, that was a bit of passionate discussion there. I won't even call it a tangent. I didn't want to get that deep into it. I'm not anti-bank, but that's really one of the main inspirations behind why I'm doing this, why this whole company was founded back in 2020, why we're doing the work that we're doing. This is a big part of it. However, we do have the apps also in Espanol, and that's because we want to make this app as accessible to as many people as possible. Of course, Spanish is very widely used in the United States, so there's no reason why we're not, reaching out to make it as accessible to people speaking Spanish primarily versus people speaking English primarily. And looking at Latin culture, we want to learn more about it. We are doing a trip to Central America. We're going to Mexico in May. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. We're going to Mexico in May, and the purpose of this trip is for us to learn more about the culture. I want to understand the ways in which I can help people in that community, in the local communities where they need to go to recreational centers. I'm just going to choose a little town, right? A little microcosm where I can kind of learn a bit about where are the centers that people go to for trusted, finance. Of course, we have banks, but I know that there are community lending and borrowing practices already in Central American communities. I know that they're there because I've done research. I need to know, do I need to go to rec centers? Do I need to go to churches? Do I need to go to community centers? Do I need to go to arbitration centers? Where do people establish financial practices within these communities which are taking place outside of large financial institutions?
That is an important question.
That's my question I need to answer. That's why I'm going. And we're going to learn cultural immersion, the whole 9 yards. And we're going to document the entire trip and show you. So it's going to be really a big production. I'm doing this. I'm excited for it. I love going on.
And you should be.
I'm excited for it.
Really should be.
Yeah, I love going on these types of excursions and just expanding my horizon a bit. And it's actually my first time going to Mexico. So
will it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Sí, yo sé un poco de español también. So puedo hablar con personas que están en México y quiero aprender todas formas de la cultura.
Sí, ¿qué más? ¿Qué más?
¿Qué más? Y quiero que todas pueden usar mis aplicaciones y pueden dar préstamos a ellos en sus comunidades y compartir dineros y compartir fondos con personas que son en las comunidades, que están en las comunidades. Es que yo deseo. So I need to work on it, yes, but you see my effort, yeah. You see my effort.
But nonetheless,
and what I'm saying is, yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead.
But what I'm saying is, guys, my intention is to go there, like I said, go and learn about the culture, go learn what people are desiring, how people typically lend and borrow with each other, how they're sharing funds, how they're pooling funds together for community projects to support an elder in the community, a family in the community. What are the typical ways that you're using funds in a shared fashion, in a cooperative fashion, and what are the ways that I can help with my software products to make that a bit easier? and maybe they're already perfect for them. Maybe they're already perfect for you. That's what I'm going to do to learn about and to nail down. So I'm excited for it. Let's get into some news though. I do want to kind of cover some big things here. I'm going to cover one thing first and then the second thing. I'm only covering 2 topics today. Okay. First topic is global news. And the first topic is I'm interested in this whole Putin thing, Vladimir Putin and how he's, of course, invading Russia. The war's been going on for over a year now. It doesn't feel like it, but it has.
It doesn't feel like it's been a year. That was fast.
He's been trying to annex Ukraine for over a year now. And recent reports of aid coming from Western allies of Ukraine are said to be sending new technologies like new missiles and primarily new tanks. And these tanks are allowing the Ukrainians to make plans to cut through Russian lines, which they formerly couldn't penetrate. So right now there's a big stalemate in Ukraine. There's a lot of skirmishes, and Ukraine is actually claiming back a lot of the territories which Russia had once claimed, but didn't have enough manpower to sustain by keeping troops there. So what we're seeing now is Ukraine is starting to take back a lot of those different municipalities, towns, cities, villages, and reclaiming it. However, Russia is getting a bit desperate. This is the concern here. Vladimir Putin is a 70-year-old man. He got his claim to fame by fighting in the military, right? He was a part of the military himself. So this is a war man. This is a man who has no shyness when it comes to war.
This isn't his first rodeo.
No, this is not his first rodeo.
This is not his first rodeo, to say the least.
and furthermore, he's a prideful man. As most leaders tend to be, they're prideful because there's something to, pride keeps your standards. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but he's a prideful man who went to Ukraine to prove something. And for him to go to Ukraine and be shown up for Russia's being exposed. It's being exposed that they have lacking technology, lacking funds to boost their military capabilities. They have very poorly trained soldiers. They're showing like what we thought Russia could do, they can't do. And that right there is embarrassing for a leader to say, well, hey, we thought that Russia was a very powerful, military global power that, we all had to be afraid of. But I don't know if they actually have all the capabilities that we thought they had.
Or that they made it seem like they had.
Yeah, a lot of the wars are built on bluffs. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I have this, you have that, and what's up? Like, it's that's what the whole Cold War was about. Like,
I'm sorry.
They said,
I'm sorry, you all. This is not a laughing matter at all.
No, it's not.
We're only laughing just because of the phrasing and how we're saying things.
Yeah,
but this in no way is a laughing matter.
It's not funny.
Sorry, please proceed.
It's a bluff, and a lot of wars are based on bluffs. It's like if I have twice as many nuclear bombs as you do, nuclear warheads prepared on missiles already ready to go, then you do. Then it's almost like I don't need to send any off. Because why would you send any off? I would send 2 for every one. By the way, if any of these go off, we're all getting sick and potentially dying. Amen. But the point is, it's a big game of bluffs. It's interesting. But back to the Putin thing, I think that it's getting a bit dangerous because as Ukraine pushes Russia back out of its attempt to annex itself and Russia getting pushed back into its own territory, what is Putin going to do to maintain his pride, the pride of Russia, a very proud nation, large nation, with some military capability, with nuclear technology that they do have? The question is, when you back a guy like that into a corner, what does he do? With nothing to lose, 70-year-old guy with all the power in the world to push a button and do whatever.
Who's his next up?
It doesn't work like that over there. He's in there until
death.
Until he dies or resigns.
Yeah.
He's a president, but it's more like he's a dictator. But they have a democracy, kind of. But their elections aren't.
That's confusing,
fair.
Then.
Yeah, their elections aren't fair. But they have elections, but it's not real. It's not real. He's been reelected time and time again. I think he can extend his terms when he wants to, midterm. So it's not real.
Well, then, if that's the case, you said, what do we think he's gonna do?
Yeah, what do you think he's gonna do? I mean, I'm just saying. Imagine some prideful leader goes into a country to prove, we're Russia. We're gonna take back Ukraine. It was once a part of our Soviet Union. We're gonna gain access to the Baltic Sea. the Baltic Sea, so we can have shipping access directly to the Suez Canal to get to the Pacific Ocean, or to the Atlantic, straight to the Mediterranean Sea. We're going to develop. We're going to take Ukraine, and we're going to change Russia's standing in the world. You guys are going to stop taking Russia lightly. And then he fails at it. What does he do to save the country's pride, his pride? It's a lot about pride.
I hope it doesn't turn into and considering that it is about pride and ego, I hope that it doesn't become a matter of, okay, well, you know what? Let me pull this trigger and show you what Russia can really do.
That's my concern.
For the sake of pride and ego. Because it can easily be that.
Yep.
And he can easily stop. I hope he doesn't stop that war. I mean, we're already in a war.
Yeah, we're already in one.
We're already in one. We just haven't added military fire to it.
We haven't, but we've been giving Ukraine help to defend themselves, and we're going to give them enough. And in this next shipment of Western military technology, Russia's going to really be at a loss because they won't have the technology to really combat what Ukraine has been given by the Western world. So Ukraine's going to end up pushing Russia right out. It's weird. Some of the things I wrote down I don't want to miss. There have already been small nuclear bombs given off. Now, there weren't like actual nuclear warheads dropping from intercontinental ballistic missiles or anything like that, but they've had small bombs with nuclear waste in them, so that when they disperse over a controlled area to make the people sick. They've also attacked several nuclear power plants. Remember that the majority of nuclear energy that comes to Europe comes from Ukraine. Remember Chernobyl back in the 70s when that went off. That was a fire that happened at a nuclear power plant. And just the fire that happened ended up causing explosions because the nuclear power generates a lot of heat. So there's a lot of coolant tanks that go into keeping the thing cool. If it overheats beyond the threshold, it's basically like a thermal runaway in which the reactions can't be controlled. Remember that the temperature is going to increase the speed of a fission reaction or whatever they're using to. So
it can't be contained.
It can't be contained, and it just basically
spreads.
It spreads, and so knowing that it's a financial war, the world has already gotten its trade unions together. The European Union already said, "Look, we're not buying any Russian oil for over this amount of cost money per barrel." So Russia's already saying, "Look, all the things we tried to do to constrict the world and make them take us seriously, they're not doing. They're not respecting it. It's not working." So just keep an eye out for that.
I don't really think that there's anything that Russia can do to try to make us take them seriously. I mean,
they definitely if they do anything, it's going to end up hurting the whole world.
And thank you.
End up hurting the whole world.
But you hurting the whole world doesn't do anything but hurt the whole world. It doesn't make anyone respect you. It doesn't make anyone want to be allies with you.
Yeah.
You're just gonna go down in history as a
yeah. Right now, they're already losing their allies. China's their biggest ally, but China's already
they're pulling out.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. They're pulling out. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, they're pulling out because they're realizing, damn, Russia, you're not actually as powerful of an ally as you once were, and maybe you aren't worth isolating ourselves from the rest of the world for.
No.
If we side with you, the rest of the world doesn't want to trade with us anymore.
And China has way too much to offer for that to be the case.
That's really Russia's only real ally is China, and they have smaller allies scattered across Asia, but in some of the Middle East, which is still Asia. But
they don't have enough manpower though.
No, they don't. They don't have enough. So it's real weird. It's real weird. But just be careful when you got someone back into a corner like that, and they have firepower, and they say, "Look, you want to take all my power away? Well, I got something you got to pay attention to."
And he's 70.
He is 70.
So he said.
He got some more years to him. He's not dying anytime soon.
No. He's not, and I wasn't saying it from that standpoint. I was more so saying it from the place of at that age you're more stubborn.
Yeah, for sure.
As we get older, there are some things that we naturally get more stubborn about, and this is embarrassing for him. So
don't want to embarrass an old man.
You embarrassing an old man It's
not. Yeah.
No. Because you're a world leader, you're 70, and things just are not going your way politically, financially,
nothing,
militarily. In no way like is it going your way.
Yeah.
So as a 70-year-old man, like even if it wasn't on this scale, as a 70-year-old man, when things start happening, you have to feel the need to prove a point.
Yeah.
So prayerfully,
that's what being a man is.
say it again.
That's what being a man is proving points, not necessarily to anyone but yourself.
But to yourself.
You can do things, and he believes in himself that, yeah, Russia, and the Russians believe in themselves. We're the Russians. But the world's almost looking at Russia like
a laughing stock.
A laughing stock, I hate to say it, but yeah, a laughing stock. Yeah. Keep an eye on that, all right? Especially those of us who live near DC. Keep an eye on that. The world, you know, we live in a beautiful world. We live in a beautiful country, and everything is very calm and constant. We're not worried about any, but things can change. So
in an instant, at that.
So like I say, that's why I'm bringing this stuff up. It can come right here. Remember that? Remember, Hiroshima, that was what, 50, 60, 60 years ago? No, like 70 years ago, really, in the 50s, I think, in World War II. But Hiroshima happened as a result of Pearl Harbor. These things happen. That was an atomic bomb. That was a nuclear bomb that was dropped that wiped out a large part of Japan, right? Just remember that nuclear bombs have been dropped in relatively recent history. Some of our grandparents have lived through that,
they have.
Right? So just know, like, it may seem far-fetched, like, why are they talking about this? But no, it's serious.
It's still fairly recent. It's still happened within the span of 100 years.
Yeah. Serious. It's a big deal. Moving on to some U.S. news, some stuff even closer to home. This is, I had one topic to cover in U.S. news. I usually have a global news topic, a U.S. news topic, and a cultural news topic. But today I just have one U.S. news topic. And there's a reason for this. I think that this topic is important enough for us to sum it all up into one. We can combine all of our news about U.S. culture and everything into just one.
Yeah.
Talking about Tyre Nichols, a black man from Memphis, Tennessee, who was brutally beaten to death by 5 officers during a nighttime arrest. Nichols was complying to all officer commands. The 5 officers who killed Nichols were also black. Nichols died 3 days after the beating, which occurred from the 5 officers. So most of us have heard about this story. It's bizarre. This is a police brutality case in which a man who was complying the entire time was literally beaten to death. That's not a nice death to die over 3 days from getting kicked in your stomach 15 times. That's
stomping your head.
Stomping your head and getting like, look, you get kicked in your stomach one good time, you're keeled over.
Yeah.
You have to wait for your liver to regenerate. So you're on the ground, getting kicked in your kidney, your liver, your stomach, your chest, you're breaking ribs, your oxygen can't move up to your head because you're getting kicked in the head, it's all swelling up.
Your blood isn't flowing the way that it needs to.
Yeah, your blood is everything.
Everything is
everything's fucked. Everything gets fucked because all your organs are just on mayday, just trying to recover.
Yeah.
He died 3 days later. And I'm gonna read out the whole story.
Please do.
I got a long thing to read here. I'm gonna pick up my computer so I'm not hunched over, but here's the story. So you know they have dashboard cams and chest cams for officers to wear. So all this is caught on footage. The recording shows police savagely beating Nichols, a 29-year-old FedEx worker, for 3 minutes while screaming profanities at him through the attack. The Nichols family legal team likened the assault to the infamous 1991 police beating of Los Angeles motorist Rodney King. On the video, officers can be seen holding Nichols down and repeatedly striking him with their fists, boots, batons as the black motorist screamed for his mom. The video is filled with moments showing the officers chasing Nichols and leaving him on the pavement propped against a squad car as they fist bump and celebrate their actions. After the first officer roughly pulls Nichols out of a car, Nichols can be heard saying, "I didn't do anything," as the group of officers begin to wrestle him to the ground. 2 officers can then be seen atop of Nichols while on the ground, with a third nearby for about 40 seconds. 3 more officers then run up and one can be seen kicking Nichols while he's on the ground. As Nichols is slumped up against a car, not one of the officers renders aid. The body camera footage shows a first-person view of one of them reaching down and tying his shoe. It takes more than 20 minutes after Nichols is beaten and on the pavement before any sort of medical attention is provided, even though 2 fire department officers arrived on the scene with medical equipment within 10 minutes.
What?
So they just left him there.
Left him there for 10 minutes.
That's what they come for. The fire department's supposed to provide some initial aid. So they just came and stood on and watched him. These are 5 black officers doing this. Crazy. It shouldn't even be playing a role, but it's just crazy as a black person to think that 5 black men became so out of body, so outside of themselves, so confused in who they are that they thought that was the reasonable response for a man living in their own community to treat them that way. And it really shows a bit of like just being lost, not understanding what's going on and who you are. It's inconceivable. I can't understand it. But
we're gonna circle back to that. I'm gonna let you finish this first, but we'll circle back.
You got it. That's a piece that's so scary about it. So once again, it takes more than 20 minutes after Nichols is beaten and on the pavement before any sort of medical attention is provided, even though 2 fire department officers arrived on the scene with medical equipment within the first 10 minutes. Throughout the videos, officers make claims about Nichols' behavior that are not supported by the footage, or that the district attorney and other officials have said did not happen. In one of the videos, an officer claims that during the initial traffic stop, Nichols reached for the officer's gun before fleeing and almost had his hand on the handle, which is not shown in the video. So one of the officers is saying, well, he tried to grab my gun and he almost had the handle. He almost had the handle, so I had to beat the shit out of him. Like, that's not what happened. It did not seem that way in the video. Nowhere in the video does even show him doing that. And you ripped him out the car before he could even have a chance to aggress you. So, I saw some of the videos. They took it down from Twitter within minutes. I'm not sure why they took it down. People need to see it. After Nichols is in handcuffs and leaning against a police car, several officers say that he must have been high. Later, an official say no drugs were found in his car, and another officer immediately counters, saying that Nichols must have ditched something while he was running away.
Dog.
This is the type of stuff that we fear. Like, it's just crazy to me. Like, we just associate this kind of thing with like racist cop. No, now this is showing. This is maybe just a police issue, which is what we're gonna get into.
And that's
This is maybe just a police issue. So here we go. The authorities have not released an autopsy report, but they have said that there appeared to be no justification for the traffic stop, and nothing of note was found in the car. Court records show that all 5 former officers to Darius Bean, these are the black guys who these are the officers, black officers who beat him up, to Darius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Desmond Mills Jr., Emmett Martin III, and Justin Smith were taken into custody. The officers each face charges of second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. 4 of the 5 officers have posted bond and what? 4 of the 5 officers what's a bond set to?
No, that's
and they're walking around like what's going on?
No. We're gonna check into that. We'll check into that because there's no way.
4 of the 5
What the hell was Bill?
Was it $5,000? What should be $50,000?
Should have been
$300,000, $3 million. Yeah.
$3 million.
At least.
You can't touch that.
You can't tell me within 3 days they acquired enough money to put their bond out.
No.
Within 3 days, it couldn't have been enough.
No.
That's crazy that they were able to acquire the money for their bond in that short of a time.
If any knows, it's crazy that the bond itself wasn't set higher. It shouldn't even need to be a bond to get out of something like this in the first place.
Yeah.
But continue.
That's an option. The court can, the judge can say no bond. So that is an option. So it's all about. Anyways, let me finish up this reading.
we have a lot to circle back to.
It's not.
We do.
It's a crazy story. 4 of the 5 officers posted bond and had been released from custody by Friday morning, according to the court and jail records. By the way, second-degree murder is a punishable offense, punishable by 15 to 60 years in prison under Tennessee law. This is Memphis, and it's crazy. I mean,
I want to go back to what Mike said regarding the officers. You had said that that they, they must have been out of body, that they just may not have, not realize, who they are, like what skin color they have. I've heard my father say this my entire life, because my grandfather was a DC officer for some time, and he retired early. But my father has always said that a lot of officers are just, this is not all, but a good portion of them are just assholes and people who need power, who never had power growing up. Yeah. And just who feel the need to inflict that pain that they had inflicted on them. Yep. Bullies. Yep. A lot of police officers are bullies, but it goes beyond that. It extends beyond that because they're murderers as well.
I've been in situations. I've been jumped here in Baltimore.
Have you?
I've been jumped and nearly killed, like beat up by. No, seriously, with officers right near me. Maybe like 3 years ago. I've been literally damn near beaten to death with officers right there next to me. And I got up after, say, "Why didn't you guys help me?" They said, "We thought you knew those guys."
While I'm getting jumped, you thought I knew them.
Almost died. Lumps in my head and all that bullshit.
That happened while we were here? If it was 3 years ago?
Yeah, it did happen when I was going to Morgan. I was still in Morgan. I was just a senior. Yeah, I was going here. Got the shit beat out of me with officers next to me. I remember that. Got the shit beat out of me. Got hit from behind. Boom! Turn, shield up, backing up. Had liquor in me, so I couldn't even backpedal as well as I wanted. I backpedaled. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just saying what it feels like to get jumped. You can't do anything. You're just sitting there trying to keep your body from getting beat up, trying to protect the most vital parts of your organs. You're trying to protect your body. It's instinctual. And you see him doing the same thing in the video. He's not. I'm just saying that to say a lot of times police officers don't end up helping you in the way that you expect them to.
Or the way that they were hired to.
They just either protect the law or to enforce the law. What you end up realizing is their prerogative is not to protect anyone. It's to make sure that the legislative laws have been enforced. If there's a law, their job is to make sure it's not being broken or to apprehend or stop anyone who is breaking them. Their job is not to protect, it's to enforce. And I think that's the biggest misconception that we have about police. It's not to protect, and they don't. They don't.
These 5 black officers, they're gone.
They don't.
They're gone. Because we've seen it happen with white officers. White officers will get their slaps on their wrist and they'll keep pushing. These black officers, nah. They're not going to make it out alive.
Well, they already posted their bond, which means it couldn't have been set high because there must you're in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm not saying it's just racist because they're in Tennessee. Obviously, we can't use race as a determining factor for right and wrong here, or racism as a we can't look at this through a scope of racism because these are black men who have done this. So I'm not gonna pull the race card here because there's no point in my eyes. However, I'm gonna do it anyway. My thing is there a bit of bias to say we don't really care? You know what I mean? Would they get such a low bond that they could post that bond within 3 days if they were in a more like
they were in DC?
DC or like a more black state is what I'm trying to say. You know, it's just weird to me. Like, how did they get out that quickly? How was their bond that low when they could put that up that quickly? That's so crazy to me. You know.
They're gonna get no. Regardless. Regardless. Even though bail has supposedly been posted, their bond. I said it right.
Bail bond, yeah.
Amen.
Bail.
Even though their bail bond has already been posted, paid, whatever. This is gonna turn into something else, and they are going to go to prison at some point, somehow, some way.
My biggest fear is that they don't. And my biggest fear is that they don't because of, like I said, biases within their local area. Like, for them to so brutally beat up a guy and feel as though they are free of retribution or
just above the law.
Above the law themselves. It shows that there must be a culture of that within the area, because I'm not gonna lie to you, that doesn't happen in Baltimore, Maryland. It doesn't. Not for officers to actually beat the shit out of you like that. The city's too black. It won't happen here, you know. But for there to be 5 black officers in a unit together, that would also make me feel like that's a very black city. They're also in Memphis, which we know is highly populated by black people.
It is.
So, I'm trying to figure out
like what was the driving force of all of this?
Why, what's the culture down there to allow something like this to even take place? That's what I keep trying to understand the subjectivity
to take place
of it.
And to allow them to get away scot-free like that.
Yeah, that's a cultural thing for them to all do that, and none of the for them to be black. That just shows that takes place down there more than we think, because they've been desensitized to the brutality themselves and now are partaking in it.
They are the brutalizers.
They are, yeah. Crazy. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we just said was just emotional, because we haven't really done much of an analysis of what is going on. It's really just an emotional outpour right now of the surprise that we both feel from what has happened. But I do have some more targeted questions that I think we could get into, and it's about the police reform that needs to take place in this country. Obviously, this is not a race-only issue, or this is not a racism-focused issue. I mean, and this is the proof that police brutality is simply a police issue. This is an issue of the way that police are given power to enforce these laws.
And even though it may primarily happen more from white officers as opposed to from black officers, overall, still nonetheless the commonality is that it's happening from the people who are set in place to, like you said, to enforce things, but they don't actually protect us, which are two different things, two totally different entities. And considering that that's the case, how they enforce it will always be subjective. Or not how enforcing and protecting those words in themselves are always going to be subjective. Not even just from them, but just overall. Because how we see protection, how they see protection are always going to be different. How we view enforcement versus how they view enforcement are always going to be subjective. They're always going to be different, and we're just going to be. It's going to be what they want it to mean versus what it should mean to the people who. To people of communities. Yeah. Point blank.
And how do we fix this? This is going to keep happening. Police brutality is an issue. If we just had to think of it right now, what things do you think a police officer should be able to do when they pull you over? Should they be able to tell you, okay, get out the car, sit on the ground? Should they be able to strike you? Should they be able to tase you? Where does the line draw? And to what extent do we even need police? To what extent do we even need them? Yeah.
Okay, I'll say this. Fine, this is just example sake. I understand having police in situations of there's a robbery happening. We need someone to step in. Or I have 6 unpaid traffic tickets on my car, and you run my plate, and it's no you as a member of your community, I'm gonna have to maybe potentially take this, or or I'm going 103 in a 50.
Yeah.
Police. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm living my life. I don't need police. I'm walking on the sidewalk. I don't need the police.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down on a curb, drinking a bottle of water. Why do I need police? So to answer your question, what is it that we need to do? First of all, we need to figure out what it is that we actually need them for. Because there isn't a lot that we really need them for. But they make it seem as though they're needed for so much, when in reality, they are not. If anything, there are a lot of us who are held a lot more physically active and a lot more physically stronger and physically capable to be a police officer than actual police officers are.
Actually run a mile.
We can actually run a mile.
Tackle someone.
We don't need weapons of mass destruction to have to restrain someone.
Don't.
But there are things that police do not know, nor do they know how to do in order to actually restrain people in situations where they need to be. So first and foremost, we need to figure out why do we need them, and what situations do we or do we not need them. If we don't need them, then however this ends up getting set up, if it gets set up, they should get fined when there are things on their side that when there are actions that they don't abide by.
That's a great point. Yes, we should emphasize that there should be a stronger fining system for police officers.
A stronger fining system.
We don't punish them enough for the wrongdoings that they do. This all goes back to the way that police departments are insured. Police departments are insured, and their insurance policy goes up every time there's an infraction. So they don't like to actually report that
it's money.
That things have gone wrong. That's what the police chief always say. We're not gonna fire them because if we fire them, we're admitting wrongdoing. Everything just piles up money wise. So there needs to be reform all the way back to the way police departments are insured. Whether their police departments are also privatized. I don't know if you ever seen like Fraternity of Police or Fraternal Order of Police. You see the FOP license plates sometimes. Fraternity is it's its own organization. That's not the city. The city pays police departments to enforce the laws that they want enforced. The police department of each municipality is actually independent of the municipality itself. People don't know that. There's a separation like between church and state. There's a separation between policing and police entities and the state itself. This is why in Brooklyn, New York, they have in some of the Jewish communities they have their own police, and they actually have the right to arrest you. Yes, because they want the police in their communities to help enforce laws within their communities. It's legal. Like, so we have to realize even your Baltimore City, your BCPD or whatever, you're seeing that badge and everything. You have to realize that all of that is privatized. It's not through the federal government. It's not through the state government. And because of that, it's literally its own business. It's its own business that's being paid by the state to do what it needs to do. The state has a budget for which they'll contract the police department to enforce the laws that they want enforced. The police department may get stipends from jails as well because the people that they arrest will get sent to the jail, so they'll get quotas from the jail. They say, look, if you get us 100 people per month, we'll give you a bonus, for the department, So these things are always just too privatized. See, sometimes capitalism has its benefits, but when you start thinking about the ways that incentivization works, you're incentivizing police to arrest people for quotas, bonuses. When you put money as an incentive for something, of course people are going to do it.
Yes.
There should not be a cash incentive or a financial or capitalist incentive for police departments to operate. It has to be redefined from the core. It can't be privatized for one. It needs to be a part of the state. All of these things need to be redefined. This is just my opinion on it, but I think a lot of the issues that we see come from what Nia just said about there not being any real repercussions for police officers who do wrong things. They don't get fined, and it all goes back to the onus being placed on the police department, them having to cover a more expensive insurance policy, it's all money. So way back in the cycle, or way at the bottom level of how policing is set up, needs to be a restructuring. That way the top can look different, right?
It shouldn't be, like Mike said, there are situations where capitalism can, provide good driving forces, but in regarding a system that is supposed to be about protecting and serving, money should not be that driving force. It shouldn't be the incentive. It should genuinely be, I want to help you. It should be that, and it's not. But when you attach money to it, people will do anything for that piece of paper.
Oh yeah.
And I've never known what the interview process is for police officers. Is there even an interview process? Do they just apply, go through academy, and now it's okay, great, you're police? Like,
I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
And unfortunately, I'm sure that is how it goes. Yeah. But there is no actual, like, who meets with you, who sits down.
And there's also a shortage of the officers. So like they're accepting anyone who wants to become a police officer. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much.
And if your character itself is not assessed in order for you to become an officer, that in itself is a problem. Because I'm sure that more than likely that's not the case. It probably is not. And your character at the core of who you are has to be one of the main things that's going to drive you to want to actually protect and serve people.
Right. Right. If not, then it's questionable why you're even doing it. Yeah. We get it's a job. That's another thing. We get it's a job. People need jobs. It's a job.
But
it's a job.
Police officers don't get paid shit anyway.
At
least not on the local level.
No, they don't. They don't. But we get that it's still a job that regular Americans are working. So we're not anti-police, all right? I have police officers in my family, as does Naya. So we're not against police.
I have a close friend who's an officer now.
Yep.
It's not that we are anti-police, but
it's a clear issue. There's a clear issue that needs to be fixed by restructuring. Like I said, it needs to come from the base of how police departments are incorporated as actual entities within the government, the business that is incorporated, the type of business that's incorporated. That part of it needs to be changed. Like, it can't be so capitalistic, or I want to use an adverb. I want to say driven by capitalism. I can't. There shouldn't be such a monetary incentive for the entire chain of finding people to arresting them, bringing them to jail, having them in jail. That whole cash chain has to be restructured. And then that would also allow room to fix the issue of brutality, because, like I said, the departments are always going to side with the officers, even if they're wrong as hell, because they don't want to admit onus or fault, because it ruins their finances for the upcoming year.
Finances and reputations.
And reputations as well. If they care about the
reputation, but usually though, if your reputation, if police departments' reputations get skewed, then it does affect their money. So even though one correlates to the other, to say the least, which is why 9 times out of 10 they don't make the reports that they should be making, because they know that if their reputation gets screwed, their money gets screwed.
Yep. It's all money, man. Yeah, I love capitalism. I'm a pro-capitalist. I'm not a socialist or anything like that. But I tell you, sometimes capitalism doesn't have a place in every part of our society.
It does not.
There has to be some things that are protected from that monetary incentivization, because human beings are designed to chase assets and to do things for assets, and that just it explodes as it just turns into a system that we can't control, and you have people doing things for the wrong reasons, like these officers. So,
just to connect something, like to make a bridge between something. This is not in any way on the same caliber as this, but it reminds me of teachers. Like, why there are some people who teach. Some people get into teaching for wrong reasons. Honestly, we could say that about anything. We could say that about any profession. But I bring up teaching because teaching, synonymous to the police, are not designed to, but they're supposed to shape minds.
Yeah,
they're supposed to, in some ways, be nurturers. Mm-hmm. Children spend the majority of their day at school. So why is it that the people who they spend most of their time with in no way know how to nurture them or feel the need to protect them if something goes wrong, or can talk sense into them, especially if their parents aren't doing it? Children come to school with all types of problems, all types of this, all types of that, and some teachers literally only live by the statement of kids come and go. Kids come and go.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And now, granted, yes, kids do come and go, but that shouldn't
be why you're there.
That shouldn't be why you're there. So again, like I said, this situation with the incident that just happened regarding this black on black police brutality, no, that's not the same thing. But I was just making a link.
I see it though.
Regarding,
there being a role.
There being a role that you're supposed to play that actually protects people, to make people feel safe or to make children feel safe. And there are some teachers who come to school break children's spirits. There are officers who literally kill people. It's not just breaking spirits, they murder people. So that's all I want to say. It's just, it's hurtful.
We have rules within our society which are based on ethics, which are based on...
That is the word that I could not think of.
We have roles in our society which are based on ethics, and we want to see people performing those roles due to their ethical conviction, not due to their attraction to the cash or the compensation, which isn't even high.
It's not even high.
But, like, what we were talking about earlier is like, a lot of these officers, and I was saying, like, yeah, a lot of officers are just assholes. They just want to have power and assert themselves because they weren't able to otherwise. So now they have the state behind them, allowing them to carry a gun and do that. So it's empowering to many people. And yeah, I I think a police officer is an empowered person. There's nothing wrong with them being an empowered person when they're doing their job well. But we have to ethically ascertain if people are even prepared to be police and reassess them over time. So like she said earlier, having the actual proper fining system of, okay, you didn't do this right, so you're getting a fine. That should be easily implementable. There should be fines distributed for officers committing wrongdoings. But once again, you can't fine them or call them out for doing something if you're going to end up having to pay more as a department next year for it. So you have these juxtaposed incentives that are constantly winning on the finance side, but not winning on the ethical side.
It's finances over over your moral ethics. And that will always be the problem. The moment that this gets switched, the moment that our moral ethics have more weight over financial anything, now we can make something shake. But until that happens, then this will always be a recurring thing, and it has been. It's our parents have seen it, our grandparents have seen it
since 2012. Javon Martin.
We've seen it. Breonna Taylor. We've been seeing it. It's been recurring, and we shouldn't. The fact that we're sitting here and we're talking about this, and it's so natural for us to speak about this in such a calm way, even though there is an emotional jarring. An emotional jarring feeling that we do have from this. It's sad that there's a numbness to it. It's sad that it's something that's just like, it happened again. Happened again. It shouldn't be it happened again. Who's next?
It's just so bizarre these guys are black. Because I think it really nails down the issue. This is a police structure issue. This is not simply a small group of racist whites acting out of character. No. Of course, we would expect black people to be a little more caring toward other black people, but
clearly not.
Clearly not. And this shows, no, this is not a racist old white man with a gun in the police uniform. No, this is just, there is a big problem with the way police are structured in this country. So, until we get to the bottom of it, and like I said, restructure the capitalist incentives that police departments are given to perform their duties in municipalities, we will not be able to break the cycle, because we won't be able to hold accountable the officers who are wrongdoing, and the cycle continues from there. You have this incentive to keep things under hush, to perform shoddy work, to treat people like shit, and lock them up. Like that's the incentive. And worse, you're not even locking the guy up, you're beating him to death. So that's a whole nother issue. I just don't get how 5 men feel the need to beat like it's just, you're 5 officers. Like we all know officers can get rough, right? Maybe an officer might shake your calm down, whatever, I get that, okay? But for 5 officers to beat you up like that, the police chief has nothing to say. She doesn't want to speak about it because, once again, she can't admit fault. It's just all over again. When is it going to get reformed? So, scary stuff, guys. And it's crazy because these topics aren't particularly intertwined into anything Lenderblock typically does within this typical operation. But I just have to get this news out there. It was on my spirit, especially to talk about Tyre Nichols. I wanted to get through that. I wanted to share my opinion. I wanted us to talk about it. I wanted us to show light on it. Everyone who has a platform should be, shedding light on this, because you have a platform. So you want to mention it, you should mention it. You don't want it to. Don't waste what your platform can offer the world. You should be talking about this at least once within the coming week if you have a platform.
If you don't mind, I think we should definitely just take a moment of silence for his family. Yeah. For his family, his loved ones, his friends, for anyone who he knew, anyone who he was connected with in any way, anyone who he had an impact on. So I think we should just take a quick moment. Amen.
Yeah. And with that, guys, I want to wrap up the podcast. Actually, very sad thing that we just talked about. I want to wrap it up. Once again, guys, catch us here every single Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're consistent on YouTube and Twitch Live. Make sure you subscribe. We have more stuff coming to you. Mexico trip coming in May as well. And also remember to sign up for the verified registry application, which is within the Blender platform. Once again, the Blender platform allows you to lend and borrow peer-to-peer. You can create your own credit line as a borrower, which is your interest rate minimum monthly payment. You have an initial collateral, which is going to be equal to the amount of money that you put down. It could be $5.01. Very little is fine. You can grow from there. We also distribute funds to our borrowers for free via our verified registry. You have to become Blender verified, and then from there, we're distributing funds, which we recently received via some cool funding. First external funding that we've ever received from the company. So we're going to be giving those funds out to increase your credit limits, increase your collaterals on a 1-to-1 ratio. So go become Blender verified ASAP. And if you want to become a lender as well, we have over 40 different credit lines on the platform with which you can become a lender. You can engage in pools with other lenders and become a part of this joint venture. So download the Blender platform ASAP and check out what we have going on here. Also available in Espanol, disponible en Español también. And make sure you guys check that out. The partner platform also is our second app. It allows you to do something very similar to the Blender platform, but it more specifically allows you to create and join partnerships, which are rotational fund sharing groups where you can contribute cyclically to a pool and receive rotational turns to withdraw some of that pool. We have checks and balances in place, and then that one's built for familiar groups of people within congregations or familiar microcosms where people can hold each other accountable, like maybe if you have a work group or a community center or a covenant or an HOA or a church congregation or a synagogue congregation, any religious congregation, a mosque congregation, any group of people who are together with each other in an organization that know one another, like a family would be a great one, like your family members, your friends. That's what the partner platform is for. It's a group savings platform in which you can have fronted turns to withdraw some of the pool as long as you can continue contributing to the pool as prescribed by the manager. So, a lot of talking here, guys. I love to get all this stuff out as quickly as possible so you can like really understand everything that Lenderblock Corporation is about within like a 30 to 45 second spiel. That's why I kind of run through that so quickly because I know this is a long video. But I appreciate you guys for tapping in. Naya is going to be back on the podcast pretty soon. So
Absolutely.
I really love the fact that she's here. Really one of my favorite people to have on. Also one of my favorite people as well. Like now Naya and I are very close actually. When I was in undergrad, we both did electrical engineering at Morgan State. And she's one of the few people that like I actually spoke to candidly about things with, just like my thoughts. And we'd always just run through ideas and how we could make certain technologies work or different ideas. And she's one of the few people who actually could understand some of my creative thoughts, and I understood hers. So now I do like Naya very much, and she's actually one of the first people who knew that I would even making the apps in general.
Y'all, let me just say, I remember this was Morgan View days, so it was at least hold on,
right down the street.
So I believe between 2017 and 2018, or between 2017 and 2019. I want to say 2018 is when it was, because that was when we had. Thank you. So that was when we had Dr. Wilkins together for
202.
For three something. When we were talking about transmission lines, it was that class. So
electromagnetics.
Thank you. So I low key want to say it was around like 2018, and we would be right across the street in my Morgan View suite. Come on, rhymes. But I just remember him talking about this. I remember him. Oh, it's us. Oh, we can finally see.
Yeah,
us.
I know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we weren't looking at ourselves.
We haven't looked at ourselves the whole time. But I remember him like talking about this. I remember like his first few pages of code. I remember him showing it to me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, Mike. And he's always talked so passionately about this. He's always been so, oh, you all are on here. Hello.
What's up?
Amen. Yes, hi, y'all. But yes, I'm sorry, I got distracted. But he just always talked so passionately about this. So to see everything that he's talked about from then really come to fruition, and to hear him talk about the external investors that he has and the trip that he's about to take to Mexico, him and his team, like it's genuinely amazing. So before we get out of here, the only thing I would like to say is for anyone who, whatever it is that you do, if you are an artist, if you're into the tech world, if you dance, if you sing, if you paint, whatever, if you trade, stick to it. Pick up things along the way. Pick up people along the way who know more than you, who can help you, more importantly, who understand you and who can give you good, who know you enough to be able to help move you and to help encourage you. You're always going to need encouragement in whatever it is that you do, and I can definitely say that Mike has some great people around him who I know encourage him to the fullest, who support him, and he will do the same in return for them as well, regardless of what it is that they have going on. So I know that was a mouthful, and for me to just say in a nutshell, stick to what it is that you do. If you love it, do it, and watch the way it comes to fruition, the way that I've been watching this come to fruition for Mike. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad of all of this that you've been doing. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mike.
I thank you, because it feels good that people can kind of see the progress over time.
Yeah.
But it's like, first you just have a dream, and then you have to implement it. And it's going to take iterations and trials, and you have to just stay persistent and passionate. But if you keep building what you want to build, eventually you have the Great Wall of China, whatever your end product is, right? It didn't get built over even a decade. That took hundreds of years to build that wall. Yeah. Okay, so you have to recognize that great things take time.
And dedication.
Okay? Dedication and work. And if you want to be a leader, remember that they're going to follow what you're doing. So you have to be the hardest worker. You have to be the most enlightened one. You have to be the one that paves the way and shows them, oh, this is actually possible. These are all things that are going to be encapsulated in your journey as you go along and learn. So, yeah, that's great. I don't usually give inspirational speeches on that. So, just work. If you want to accomplish something, work. And keep catching up with us every single Saturday, like I said. Every Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Twitch and YouTube. Every single weekend, be here with us and subscribe. All right, follow us on Instagram as well, and most importantly, download the Bundle Platform app for iOS and Android, and download the Partner Platform app for iOS and Android.
You all have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you next Saturday at 12:30.
Yes, we will.
Bye.